Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, obviously presented by Underdog and live on True North Fantasy Football. I am your host with the most time in the fans. I'm Thomas Tipple FF. I'm definitely going to cough. There you go, we got it out. My fact of the day is today is the first time I've ever been referred to as being visceral in my entire life.
Hey everyone, I'm your I guess other host. I don't know where I was going with that. Big Billy FF. Damn it, that was going to be my fun fact. I am not in fact Noah, despite what my name tag was saying for a split second. But I guess I'll have to wing it on another one. Currently on Fantasy Pros ECR, Kareem Hunt is ranked above Tony Pollard.
Oh, well, that's probably reasonable enough.
Kind of interesting. Anyway,
my name is Jacob Sanderson. You can find me on Twitter at FF_RTDB. And if you're listening to the audio version of this in the future, you will find that there is about 80% less hair on my head in this new era of the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast.
You'll hear it. I think it's really going to shine through.
I usually have like a nice bushy mane just rubbing against my shoulders.
Jacob can actually listen to us again because he doesn't have like a fern growing on either side of his face.
Yeah, that's my between two ferns. It's just my hair.
All right. We're off the rails already. Look, it's been kind of a wild week, Billy. We were just on live just last night on a delayed fantasy walkabout. Glad you made it back to the regular program this week. Yeah. We're gonna have a couple shows this week, seeing as how we have the Devi podcast Thursday, and we're right back at it with at least the walkabout this week, and can't wait. Wild. Let's get into it. Obviously, lots of stuff happening at all times. Oh my God, why is this just not working? Okay, whatever. You're gonna be no more parties for the rest of the day, Billy.
That's fine.
Look.
I'll live with it.
Oh my God. Obviously, lots of news in the happenings of the Twitterverse. Obviously, we have to get to the most topical bits of it because what kind of show would we be if we didn't? Obviously, one thing we love to hear people bettering themselves. Billy, it is quite obvious that you yourself have been working tirelessly to get into better shape. You have the beard coming in. It's always nice for people to hit their training goals. And it just so happens that every player in the NFL currently showed up to camp in the best shape of their life, because that is the leading tweets out there in the world for back-to-back years. We got to give it up for Ezekiel Elliott, best shape of his life. He's aging like fine wine.
Yeah, he keeps coming in better shape every single camp, and yet keeps putting up worse stats. It's really incredible. I think he should be in the worst shape of his life. He'd be an RB1 again.
Oh God!
Statistically, that's just not how it works. You don't just Zeke just doesn't improve every year. That's not how aging.
Yes, he does. He's constantly in the best shape of his life. It's so funny. God. Like every year, there's so many best shape of their life tweets, but the Zeke ones are hilarious. It's got to be 4 years in a row Zeke's been in the best shape of his life.
Cabo or whatever. Yeah. The contract.
Every year since he showed up fat, all of a sudden the next year he's in the best shape of his life. It's remarkable.
Cowboys are doubling down on the press, needing everyone to know that guy that we signed to a stupid contract. Don't worry, he's in great shape. He's in the best shape of his life because he hasn't had a single carry yet on the season. And as the carries start coming, the conditioning starts going down.
He's in the best shape because they're not watching him run. He's not constantly winded.
We can't prove that he's getting slower.
Who's not in the best shape of their life, apparently, is Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks was sucking air. His first practice, can get through his first practice. He's back today, though. He doesn't look 250 pounds to me. How are we feeling about Traylon? Are we concerned that he can't breathe? Does he have the lung capacity, or are we headed for a faceplant season only to be turned around next July when he's in the best shape of his life coming into year 2?
I'll tell you.
Don't you think it's setting up, right? So if he has a bad season this year, then people are going to replay the practice clip of him sucking air. Then they're going to come back next summer and be like, guys, Traylon Burks struggled last year, but he's in the best shape of his life. Watch out.
I heard every football coach I've ever seen yelling for him to get his hands off his knees in that video. Like that, he just looked exhausted.
Look,
but like
I want like me going downstairs to grab my Uber Eats, coming back up. I'm like, oh God, that's enough for me.
I want everyone to hear and / see what I'm about to say. I want everyone to know that I am concerned that Treylon Burks is not gonna have a good season.
People can't see this on the audio version. People don't know.
I know, but that's why I said, and I want them to see it.
Those of you on the audio version, Tom didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Hold him to that.
Yeah. I want him to. I didn't say he will do poorly. I said I want him to do poorly. I want him to do poorly so I can continue to draft him, because these stories always come out in the preseason and in training camp. And I'm happy to, quote unquote, as the kids like to say, buy the dip, if you would. But this is, aside from it being like a tight end free-for-all battle out there, Jacob, how do you feel about the owner of the Indianapolis Colts overspending on Kurt Cobain's guitar at $4.5 million when it was supposed to go for a projected like $500K, yet refusing to open the bank to free agent players in the NFL?
Well, the Colts are the Colts are the exact opposite of every other organization. Like every other organization has like a GM that's begging the owner to spend money, and the owner tells them no. It's like that scene in Moneyball when Brad Pitt goes to the cheap ass owner of the A's. He's like, "Can I have $5 million to re-sign Giambi?" It's like, "No, get out of here." No, the Colts are the opposite. Every year Irsay comes out, he's like, "I want us to spend money," and Ballard's like, "Yeah, he doesn't know how the cap works. We're gonna keep a close tabs on the string." So I think Irsay would like happily approve more spending than we actually do. I think it's much more of a Ballard thing where he just doesn't want to be the team restructuring contracts and constantly kicking the can down the road. He really values financial flexibility, and it's fine. I wish that we would take a few more swings at it, but he's overall built a fairly good team outside of the quarterback position, so I can't complain too much. But I think Irsay would be willing to spend if Ballard wanted them to.
Speaking of in the quarterback position, I mean, you did get a new quarterback. Nick Foles signs a contract. I think it was a base salary of like $2.5 million.
He's replaced Carson Wentz.
Always.
Hey, actually, that's a really good point. Well played, sir. Do we have anything else we really care about? Do we give a shit about anything else, or can we kind of move on here?
Robert Woods looks phenomenal at Titans camp. Robert Woods,
does he actually?
Yeah, he's out there running all sorts of agility drills, running routes. He looks like, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it's currently May, and he looks like he's doing a lot of football activities. So I think like he's seemingly on track for week 1. Travis Etienne, of course, is a full go at OTA, so he'll be no problem for week 1. That's I think the big things. These injuries that we're tracking, especially it feels like we've had like a lot of late season injuries last year between the J-Rob Achilles, Woods ACL, Godwin ACL, Gallup ACL. So it'll be interesting to track a lot of Jameson Williams, John Mechie. It'll be interesting to track all these late season injuries and see who's ready for week 1. Woods right now looking like he's in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, we're always waiting for the like early off-season injuries, but I feel like we already have that with how many super late. JMO is another one that we're going to be tracking, obviously, very closely, and how he's used. It's like I said, there's going to be a lot of bodies that get signed. I mean, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name, but the Cardinals did sign a running back today.
Darrell Williams.
Right, maybe a bit of a camp body, right? Like Mike Davis is in Baltimore. He's camp fodder, right? They got to run these drills and they got to get through it. And they just, these guys eat reps when they're vets. So.
Oh, speaking of camp bodies, can we talk about Darrell Williams? Because
I just mentioned him. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. The Twitter appreciation for such a mediocre player is unfathomable. I went to try and find the contract figures and I couldn't find them yet. I don't know if they've been announced yet. So I just typed him into the search bar, and the admiration people have for this player is unreal. People didn't even know who this guy was until like a year ago. He ran a 4.72. He is by far last year the worst rush yards over expectation relative to team run blocking. Apparently, he's good in pass blocking. PFF certainly doesn't think so. He had a 35.2 pass blocking grade last year, but people have said that he's good at pass blocking. 1.3 yards per route run. That's significantly worse than Connor's. 65 receiving grade, points below Connor's. Yeah, you mentioned what does it do to Eno value and Ingram's value? This is what I wanted to get into. Like, yeah, I think people are acting like Darrell Williams is assured something. I don't know what Darrell Williams is assured. He was a free agent until late May. He's a 27-year-old career third string back who had a nice little run in fantasy because he played on the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Nothing that he did while he was in that role showed us that he was actually good. The Chiefs didn't attempt to bring him back. Just wild to me how people perceive him. Do I think he could play? Sure. Yeah, I think like he is perceived in NFL circles as a reliable log down and distance type player in pass blocking and receiving. And I could see him have that kind of role in the Cardinals. But I don't know. I think the Cardinals clearly have a type because Connor is already sort of the reliable and explosive, but he's a much better version of it than Williams. I would be surprised if he has that much of a role. Like, I don't think he approaches anything near what Chase Edmonds was doing, who was usually out-snapping James Conner last year. I don't think Williams is going to do anything like that. And if Conner goes down, we'll see. I think, Jamie, I think we already knew what we needed to know about Eno last year. When Edmonds went down, they could have given Eno a role. They really didn't. He never even touched 30% of snaps.
That's what I wanted to. That's what I was going to get into.
Right.
Yeah.
So like last year, Chase Edmonds was averaging like 55-60% of the snaps last year. He goes out. They don't give even half of that. So to me, we already knew everything we needed to know. In terms of Ingram, we'll see. I would imagine that if Connor goes down, Darrell does do the long down and distance pass down work because coaches like those reliable options for that. But I think, I think Keontae Ingram certainly has a chance to get some run on early downs. It reminds me of a situation like with the other D. Williams from Kansas City, where he was in Chicago with Herbert last year. And, sure enough, Herbert was playing nothing when it was Montgomery. It was only Damian Williams, the complimentary back. But then Monty goes out. Herbert gets a chance to actually get some carries. He out carries him in that first game they played together and out snaps him. Then Damian Williams ultimately gets COVID and Herbert steals the job for the rest of the period of time that Monty's out. I think Ingram will certainly have a chance to prove himself over Darrell Williams. I don't think Darrell Williams is like standing in anyone's way definitively.
I think I can answer why Twitter loves him, because he's a free running back who finished as the RB18, and we know how people love the RB finishes. It's one of the easiest ways that people can fit their narratives in, so they got to use it. Well, he was the RB18. All right, awesome. It's because they see games like 24 points and they see games like 25 points as a backup. He was CEH. He was kind of the starter in those games because CEH is kind of the backup in the pass catching role. We know the pass catching role in Kansas City is really good. And I think what this spells is the kind of end to Benjamin. But you're right. As for Ingram, I think that there's still an ability to, or a time or a window to acquire. And I think that you can actually acquire more now if you really believe. I have acquired 3 shares myself just today since the signing. It's glorious. You should go out and do that, and then also pick up Williams as a waiver wire ad. Because if he's on, well, maybe he'll be on rosters. Honestly, he should. Maybe he finished the year strong. But if he's on waivers, sure, go spend a little something on him. Pick him up. You should. But you're right. I don't think it's as earth-shattering as the Bird app really made it seem today. Very odd. Very odd. What else do we want to get into? Bill, do you have any comments on the old Darrell Williams sitch?
Yes, I do, but I was muted, so that's why I wasn't able to jump in. But I real quick want to say this Darrell Williams situation. It feels a lot like people being too smart for their own good. Like it feels like we're reaching a level where we're like, well, we got these free shots at running back. We got this pass catching role that's valuable. Like it seems like it's just adding on too much, and it's just going to topple down. Like it's a high risk, low gain situation that I don't really think Darrell Williams is getting a lot of value in Arizona playing behind Connor. And I mean, he's already, if he is in that pass catching role, he's likely sharing that second piece role with Ingram himself and if he's going to play at all. Like it's just a bad situation, and it feels like people being too smart for their own good, going out and like loving on this Darrell Williams hype.
Well, when we had Ben Gretsch on the show and we were talking about the 0 RB situation, and I had mentioned, is it going to get to a point where, like, with this news, someone out there is going, yes, I don't have to draft a running back till the 12th round. There's another body out there for me to get late. Somebody is just sitting there, and I think we're getting to a point where we might be pushing those boundaries just like this much when you're looking at guys like Darrell Williams and you're like, that's the one.
I just think it's so strange how people decide like which signings matter. And it often has such little to do with the player, right? Like look at the rest of the running backs signed in these last couple of weeks. Right? Mike Davis to Baltimore, Phillip Lindsay to the Colts, Tyson Williams, Darrell Williams was even the only Williams signed today. Tyson Williams to the Colts. All these backs that are getting these contracts at this time of year, they're all bad. Like nobody, if they were good, they would have been signed a month and a half ago. And it's just interesting that it's because Darrell was the one, who had the season that he had last year. With KC, he is living proof that literally anybody except for Clyde Edwards-Helaire can produce fantasy value in the Kansas City Chiefs offense, and even Clyde could too. I'm sure if they gave him as much work as Darrell was able to get when he was out.
Yeah.
So it's just it's strange to me like how people have perceived like which ones. Again, I'm picking up Darrell. The conversation I have with people who are certain. Like absolutely certain that Darrell is now playing every third down for the Arizona Cardinals this year would be a workhorse back if Connor gets hurt. I'm like, have you watched this guy? He's bad. Like it's a possibility that that's the case, but he's assured nothing.
It's people wanting to latch on to those running backs that they got off the waiver wire. It happens all the time where guys seem to stick around in fantasy just that little bit longer because, I got him for free last year. So obviously, he's got another this is where it's kind of crazy that if James Conner didn't have such a good year last year, he would be in like the Darrell Williams situation. And I think that that's another reason why people are kind of hanging on. He's sturdy, like you said, sturdy, reliable, unexplosive. But because Conner did have a blow up year and he did get a contract, he ended up not being just another Darrell Williams. Because I really think that's where he was going. Someone who really performed at one point. Anything else before we move on? We got a new game today. That's pretty dope. I think we can hit that. Jamie, we're going to get into the other questions. We're going to get that after the game. So stick around. We're going to get all your questions. They're great ones. Posting them here and in the Going for Two Discord, which we definitely love. And that goes for anyone. If you have questions, there are multiple ways to get a hold of us. There's obviously the Bulletproof Discord with Jacob. There is the Dynasty Tilt DMs. There's all of our DMs on the Bird app. And you can even go to truenorth.com. It's right up there on the screen. truenorthffb.com/full tilt. And you will be able to get in touch with us with questions, and we will answer them. That's what we're going to do. Because it's the off season. It's really easy to get to questions like that. So sit tight. We're going to have a clip from last week, and then we're going to be back with the new game. Sit tight.
The big back roll in LA sucks. It's a bad roll. Like you're spinning a die, hoping for a touchdown so you can get 9 fantasy points. Otherwise, it's terrible.
I agree.
This is like I hate this. Like anyway.
I agree. That's why I wanted to point it out though, because some things that we were saying used to prop up Dameon Pierce, we use to kind of slight Spiller. So I just thought that was very interesting to me. Okay, because Billy's stat corner can be it's really difficult, even though Billy has 672 1,000 stats that he throws at us, and Jacob and I can't win the fucking game anyway. Billy is taking lenience on us, which we appreciate, sir, and will be hitting us with a new game. So maybe we have a new way to absolutely blow it when we have a lead, very much like the Atlanta Falcons. So, Billy, this is the Big Bank of Billy. For anyone new, and I guess, well, that'd be all of us, could you please explain the game to us before we kick off?
Yeah, so with the off season coming around, obviously there's not as much stats anymore, so it's hard for me to come up with stat corners. So I came up with a new game. And the best part about this game for Jacob and Tom here is there's no real winners. Yeah, y'all don't win or lose. You just play. So we're going to have a great time. So, as Tom had said, this game is called The Big Bank of Billy. I came up with it on a 5-hour drive last week. It's a really simple concept. I hope you all enjoy. I have picked a player. This player is a fantasy player, so plays at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. That's all you're going to get.
Hey, Patrick,
I'm going to list off.
Game. You include the fullback, you dick.
All right. He can be a fullback.
There we go.
I want you to know I'm never going to pick one. But there you go.
You say that.
So I'm going to list off 5 pros and 5 cons about this player. I want y'all to tell me if you are buying or selling what this player brings to the table. Then I'm going to announce the player, and we're going to have a bunch of fun back and forth.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Prior to this, I do want to heads up. I don't want anyone, if you figure out who the player is, I don't want to hear, oh shit, he's talking about Tyson Williams. None of that.
Leave it to the end?
Leave it to the end. I want to
reveal.
Okay. So, we're going in. 5 pros about this player. He is well above average as a size speed specimen. He tested well in most advanced metrics. He is still well below the age apex at his position. He's on what projects to be a top 10 offense in the NFL. And his biggest competition on the depth chart was drafted lower than him and has a history of injuries. Good? All right. So now we're going to run into the negatives. The player he's playing behind with a history of injuries is an upper echelon athlete. The offense is great, but it's very crowded. He's rather undersized for his position. He's still rather unproven as an NFL pro. And while he is an above average athlete, he is absolutely not a next level athlete. So, I want to ask Thomas Tipple, Jacob Sanderson, are you buying or selling what I bring to the table today?
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Oh man, this game is terrifying. There's not only is there no winners, there's only losers.
Oh my God. Okay, look, I don't trust you as a game show host to lead us the right way. So I'm going to say I am selling what you're bringing to the table.
Oh, you're taking the meta of the game into account.
Okay, so just to recap this, right?
MBS still got me.
Okay, so just to recap this player is young, he's decently athletic, and he was drafted higher than the person ahead of him on the depth chart.
Yeah, his biggest competition. Yep.
Okay, and the depth chart's crowded, but the offense is good.
Top 10. I think I know who it is. But
you said top. Wait, you said he's drafted top 10?
No, he's projected to be in a top 10 offense.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't actually know who this is. I'm sure I will kick myself about it in a second. But as much as I'm quite sure the answer is that I want absolutely no part of this, I probably do want a part of this in theory, because if the reasons for fading this person is because of some jamoke added them on the depth chart and a crowded ass depth chart, I don't care. Let's get 100% rostership to this guy here. Which shitty ass player am I drafting all over the place?
Can I guess?
I hang on. I'm so excited. Go ahead. You can go ahead and guess.
Okay. I think it's TDP in San Francisco.
Good guess. No.
That was what I was thinking of. But
solid guess. Solid guess.
The reason I questioned it is because you said an unproven NFL talent. You made it sound like it was a vet, but I thought that to me was the like he's gonna backstab us with the phrasing of that.
So you're on the right path. This player is a rookie this year. He was drafted to Denver as a tight end. Greg Dulcich.
Oh, well, I am buying him. So that's good.
Yeah.
I'm all over Greg Dulcich. So that's true.
Yeah.
I should have known because Billy has been on the Dulcich train now
I like it.
for a while.
Greg Dulcich and Matt Corral are my most drafted rookie players.
Yeah, I'm drafted tons of Greg Dulcich. Greg Dulcich in round 4 is an auto smash. He was my pre-draft tight end 2. I like Greg Dulcich. He's a guy who plays a true move tight end. I think he's kind of Dallas Goedert-esque. I'm really excited about him. It's tough because I love Alberto too, obviously. But yeah, with these tight ends, this is what Denver does. They draft my favorite players all the time, and then they stick them on the bench.
And then they draft someone higher.
Because I'll just put him on my taxi Hamler.
I mean, the thing is, Greg Dulcich cost me nothing, so I'll take him with my 4th round pick. Absolutely.
All right. I'll concede.
Every round,
I will buy.
or every fantasy draft, I have a 4th round rookie pick. I've taken Dulcich this year, just because
he's like
there is so much upside.
Can we settle this right now? Am I saying it wrong? I was under the impression it was Dulcich. Is it Dulcich?
I thought it was Dulcich. I could be wrong.
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna
find out.
I feel like he's just gonna become like the Thad Moss, but not ironically for me, where I just smash a 3rd and 4th round tight end. Especially if McBride is starting. If McBride starts to go higher than he should, which I think he's almost like he's teetering on that now, then I think Dulcich is or that Denver guy, since none of us know how to enunciate his name correctly, is
Greg.
The fantasy footballers method.
First name basis. There we go.
Greggy D.
Greggy D. I like Greggy D.
So
I don't like that I accidentally called Alberto a jamoke. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, that was why I was lined up, and I'm
Lucas,
like,
we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that clip.
But real quick, just to get an official consensus, all 3 of us officially buying on Greggy D.
Well, look, I'm gonna just for continuity. I'm gonna stick to my selling because I'm not gonna be a flip flopper.
Selling for what? There's a lot of demand out there.
I am not gonna be a flip flopper.
Selling for a 2023 5th.
Oh my God! When is Greggy D gonna take over?
Well, I would say
when was the draft?
Well, Alberto is in year 3 of his contract, so tight ends tend to take till year 3 pretty often. So let's say 2024. I'm just gonna.
I just default 3 years.
And 2024 is when he's no longer eligible for your taxi squad, so it's perfect. You just set him and forget him.
Yeah.
Just
with that amount of hair.
Oh,
how can he not be phenomenal?
All right, that was the big bank
over Jelani Woods. That's my stance.
Well, you're gonna take him over Jelani? I'm not.
I'm all for that.
I had Dulcich over Jelani pre-draft. I'm sticking with it. I have not taken 1 share of Jelani actually, which I'm the anti-homer. I hate
true. You do.
Except for Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor.
That was the big bank of Billy. When we come back, we are going to get into the cashing in, cashing out before we ride into the rest of the week. This is the clip from the newly debuted version of oh my God, no free squares. This is cash considerations, where Jacob and I had a plan, and that plan got fucked over real hard, real fast. Enjoy.
And also, like, I would rather just get those different textures when on the odd occasion. Wow, who is Ned Saris? Oh, is he aware that Cooper doesn't even play for the Cowboys anymore? Wow, that was rude.
Bro.
Okay, all right. What are we gonna do here?
Shit.
That was one of the most ridiculous affronts of humanity. We took CeeDee Lamb in round 2 in that draft. And the second we took CeeDee Lamb, I was like, we're going to set this up perfectly. We're going to get Dak and Schultz on the 7-8 turn. And then this dude who took Kyler Murray already takes Dak as an unstacked QB2, one pick before us, half a round ahead of his ADP, and we absolutely lost our minds.
Dude is drafted for spite in a best ball draft.
Sniped us again later. There was it was
another quarterback. He took Lawrence. He took a third quarterback after already taking Kyler and Dak.
We had ETN, and then we were going to try to set up another stack. That's why you need to be watching cash considerations, because Jacob and person will be going through best ball ADPs and strategies, then doing a live best ball mania 3 for as long as it's around. And midway through, we don't know what's going to happen. It is a live draft. Everything is on the tables. Fantasy goods. Denver guy can produce more than Alberto if they play him in the slot. Sure, but they've also got already another tight end and Tim Patrick playing the slot. So that's going to be hard to come by. So you don't think he'll produce tight end 1 numbers in the next year or two?
I mean, he can.
And any tight end can produce tight end 1 numbers, which is what my argument was yesterday. Oh my God. You can accidentally be a tight end 1. You can accidentally do it. Conk Daddy could do it in New York. It's possible. Okay. Relax on the tight ends. Buy them all and stick, if they're cheap, and stick them on your bench and call it a day. Guys, let's do cashing in and cashing out. The way this is going to work, the guys and I are going to take a player that we think is currently in the top 20. It doesn't matter if it's top 20 in the position, top 20 overall, however we want to phrase it. We're going to take a player that we don't think is going to be there next year. This is a player that is going to be yeeted from top 20 consideration at this time next year for various reasons. Billy, I want to start with you in this case.
All right. I have been growing disdain for this player for a little bit now. Not disdain. This player seems like a good enough guy. I want to give him credit on that.
I fucking hate this guy. He's a good guy, but I fucking hate this guy.
By the way, I just remember there used to be a game when I was a kid on a radio station called Bob FM in Winnipeg. Tom knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And it was called Beat Bob's Bank. And wow, it just reminded me of the name of this game.
That was a really rare.
Yeah, that was really good. I had forgotten about that. Sorry, Billy.
No, all for it.
Sorry, it just hit me.
So I'm doing my rankings off of Fantasy Pros ECR, and that's where I'm picking for Dynasty rankings right now. And this running back is currently RB13 on Fantasy Pros ECR, and that is Washington running back Antonio Gibson. I think
we weren't still playing Beat Billy's Bank?
No.
I was like, you revealed it on the first clue. We're on to the in and out game now.
But but Jacob didn't pay attention to the intro to the game.
No, he had it around.
Anyway, so this player.
Why am I here?
This is gonna make the next clip on the next episode for sure.
I was gonna say this is gonna make for a great commercial break next week.
We ended the game. We ran a clip. We came back and introduced the new gimmick. I led it, and Jacob's thinking we're.
Tom is up there in the corner. He went, "That was a great job for the debut of Billy's Big Bank."
Well, it was so good. I wanted to keep playing.
Why am I here?
Introduced everything.
All right, everyone. This is your new host of the show, Patrick. He's going to be taking over from now on because I'm not needed.
You know what I was doing? I was submitting some Darrell Williams waiver claims. I'm not going to lie.
Jesus fucking
Jacob's flip-flopping live on the show.
Look, I'll roster him.
Oh my God, Billy!
Running back with a pulse,
keep trashing Gibson for me, please.
We got a bonus episode in the course.
Oh, fuck.
So there's a lot of things we need to take into consideration with the RB position going into this time next year. First off, there's going to be an influx of 5 to 6 really good running backs at the rookie position, at the running back position. And there's a lot of players right now behind Antonio Gibson that I expect to move past him in dynasty rankings. Saquon Barkley, provided he comes back fully healthy or 90%. J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones, Jacobs, Mitchell, Dillon, like all these players I think could potentially jump in front of Antonio Gibson moving forward. And on top of that, the Commanders are drafting players to play behind Gibson. Brian Robinson is a textbook grinder goal line back. J.D. McKissick is a textbook pass-catching back. That's what he was doing this last year. Antonio Gibson is losing a lot of what made him good when he was first drafted and what so many people were extremely excited about. I think Antonio Gibson is a fine player. I just think come this time next year, your Bijan Robinson, Zach Evans, these influx of young running backs, whatever young running back in the back of this 2022 draft that's going to climb up the boards, like all of them, I see ending up moving ahead of Antonio Gibson next year. I could see him falling not just outside the top 20, outside the top 25, if just things don't turn around for him. Because besides that first year where he was really exciting and really efficient, it feels like we just haven't seen that level of Gibson since. And I think people are going to start getting tired of being burned by him. So because of that, I see Gibson very easily falling outside the top 20. I don't have to think that hard to picture that one.
As the resident Antonio Gibson doubter on this program, I accept your answer. And Jamie just posted, I just drafted Gibson in a dynasty league at RB20 in a draft with @Fantasy Goods. So it's kind of already happening. Aaron Jones is out next year. He says the rise of AJ. I'm surprised that hasn't happened already. Look, I'll go next.
The rise of AJ? Aaron Jones? Sorry.
I'm using playerprofiler.com's overall Superflex rankings to kind of hammer home mine. And this player, I think, had what? What?
Are you about to talk about Patty Fries again?
No, I'm not. He better not be in the top 20. He's not in the top 20.
He's certainly in the top 20 in tight end.
Yeah, I'm talking about overall Superflex ranking.
Okay.
Guys, I have a microphone. The fucking thing is on. The audio should be running into your ears. Let's have a listen. All right? Jesus.
Look, that was Jacob again.
Player for
okay. Well, Billy's wasn't top 20 overall. I don't know. I can't keep up with you guys.
Read the show sheet.
We discussed it before. Oh my God. Okay, I'm using Player Profiler's top 20 overall in the Superflex rankings for this player. I think this player was expected to come out and have a real shot at being the RB1 overall on the season. It turns out he's not very good at actually physically running the football. He is already 23, will be 24 at season's end, which is when it gets very, very difficult to start moving running backs who have been kind of disappointing, and we don't know the direction of the Detroit Lions. I think Swift being the the 11th player on their board has a real chance to fall outside of the top 20. If he has a disappointing season, if he does not come out and have a great season, top 5, top 4, I think people will lose favor with DeAndre Swift. And I think he can definitely find himself outside of the top 20. Maybe, I'll start drafting Swift again if he starts going to the end of the second round. I think that's where he should be drafted now. He's the 11th player off the in the player profiler ranks right now. I can see him not being there again if he is not only inefficient, but if some of those targets start going in other places and he doesn't stay healthy. Running backs, we all know that when they disappoint and they get hurt and they don't do what we all think they're going to do, hence Gibson, right, the last couple of years, I think DeAndre Swift is potentially going to have an even bigger slide. Swift outside of the top 20 this time next year.
I agree with that one for sure. Well, Billy used a phrase that was, I think he said Antonio Gibson was losing his edge. And it reminded me, of course, of the eternal LCD sound system song, Losing My Edge.
Hey, you don't know, Jamie.
Said, I'm losing my edge to better looking people with better ideas and more talent. And they're actually really nice. And I think that the entire 2017 running back class is potentially moving out of the top 20. They are going to be passed up by better looking people with better ideas.
But they might be in the best shape of their lives.
They're all in the best shape of their life.
Okay, I'm glad Thomas introduced Jacob. What the hell was that roundabout?
I just thought that was an interesting segue. I try to be creative on this show. I don't listen to you guys. I try to research my own segues.
I'm sitting here cracking up at the fucking path. The Lord of the Rings saga. Jacob,
are you new to the show?
What is this show today?
I was amazed.
Billy, are you new here? Is this the first time that I've weaved in like a pop culture reference to start off a football take?
No, that one was just impressive. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I don't actually think that this will happen for every single one of them, but we're looking at right now Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, all in the top 20. Aaron Jones just outside of that. Leonard Fournette just outside of that. It's the best running back class we've probably had in the 21st century, quite plausibly. Just a phenomenal running back class. They are all turning 27 at some point in time over the course of this year, save for Joe Mixon, who will be 27 next year and will be turning 26 this year. That's an issue for, I think, some of them are likely to just straight up die. We have not seen a running back post a top 12 season in points per game at the age of 27 or more in 5 years. I think that will be broken this year. That's not including Henry, of course, in his like little 8-game skit. I think that streak will be broken this year by at least one or two of them. But I do think that some of these guys are going to age off. And then the most important thing that we have to think of with all these running backs is that the 2023 running back class is looming. And that, I think, will immediately launch 5 to 6, maybe even 7 new running backs into the top 20 in Dynasty before they even play a snap. Then you look at the guys from this year, Walker, Hall, maybe one or two of the other guys impresses. They almost always do come up, at least in there for a little bit. You look at still the 2019 guys are hanging around, the 2020 guys. That was this great class. So many of them got injured. How many of them end up bouncing back? Can Etienne bounce back? Mitchell's still there. Harris, Javonte. And I think that we're only going to see maybe one or two of these 2017 running backs there. Otherwise, the rest will be put to pasture.
I agree. And we all picked running backs, so I think it's fitting to keep talking about it.
I thought we were all going to pick wide receivers. That's why I took the running back.
Originally, I was going to talk about Tyreek Hill, and then I decided to change. There's my bonus one. I think Tyreek Hill is falling outside the top 20 wide receivers.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Tua is going to ruin him. But look, Jamie just says, first off, no way Swift falls that far. And just ask, I think he means Chase Vernon. Good dude. Obviously, his dose score is elite. He was the most targeted RB last year. Sure, agreed. But like Jacob just said, the 2023 class is coming. And one thing fantasy players are not forgiving to, unless their name is Ezekiel Elliott, is RBs that underperform. Now, DeAndre Swift being the RB8 in points per game, pretty freaking good, but also pretty underwhelming when they had top 5, top 3 hype last year. If he does that again, there are guys even not in the rookie class. Cam Akers, he's outside of the top 20. He could move up. Javonte Williams is at 21. Cam Akers is at 23. And if Barkley bounces back, he could move back up. If Swift disappoints, he can for sure drop out of favor at this time next year as a top 20 overall running back, not a top 20 running back, overall player.
Yeah, man. Look, I know that I don't pay attention to Tom, but like you got to think he said overall player, not just running back.
That's right. Jacob,
I don't even think Swift's going to be a top 20 tight end next year.
Oh my God. This fucking show, I swear to God. I love it, but it also at the same time, it drives me nuts, but that's why we love it. We're going to take a quick break, Jacob. And when we come back from this, we are going to not only do the second half players who will jump into the top 20, right? However we so choose to look at it. And we're also going to do listener questions. I'm glad that you are nodding your head and understanding what's happening next.
I'm trying to figure out my next pop culture reference.
Here's another
period after every word.
Here's another clip from Cash Considerations. Sit tight. We're going to be right back.
I don't really care about the first 6 weeks that much in a tournament where it really comes down to what you do in week 15 through 17, right? Like that's where the $1 million is won. So if you were to tell me, like to me, I kind of I'll take the first 6 weeks where I expect Hollywood to be the clear lead receiver. I mean, Hopkins is also old. Like, I don't think it's inconceivable that Hollywood just out targets Hopkins even when Hopkins comes back. But I don't know if Marquise Brown would be in this early round 4 conversation if Hopkins wasn't suspended.
See, unlike Jacob's listening skills, our segue skills are elite on this show. And with being elite comes being a champion. And at TrophySmack.com, you can go and get yourself a beautiful championship belt like this Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, custom championship belt, former professional wrestler here. I can tell you I've held championships across the country of Canada. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between an actual pro wrestling belt and the Trophy Smack belts. They are elite tier. You can go to TrophySmack.com, use promo code TIPPLE, that's nipple with a T, put the trophy, put the belt in the cart, slap a ring in there as well. You get one of these beautiful championship rings for free when you use promo code TIPPLE at TrophySmack.com. Let's do the buys in the cash. In the cash considerations. Oh my God. Whew, that segue wasn't as good, but we're going to go players who will end up in the top 20 that aren't now. And again, Jacob, this can be positional or overall, just, for reference. And I'm actually going to start with you this time.
Well, as this person once said in their song, I kept it real from the start. That's the new single, of course, by Young Joka. And look, I can talk about the guys I always talk about. I can talk about Marquise Brown. I can talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can talk about AJ Brown, all the other receivers named Brown, Antonio Brown, someone else named Brown. But no, I'll go out on a limb. I'll create one of those clips for you. You can play next year at the draft to make fun of our worst takes. I'll put myself at severe risk. Because like Young Joka said, I kept it real from the start. And look, Kadarius Toney, second in the league last year in target rate, comes out into an offense that's potentially going to be passing the ball an absolute metric crap ton this year with Daniel Jones, who, by the way, I almost made Daniel Jones my pick here for moving into the top 20 quarterbacks.
Yep.
I love the setup in this offense. I expect to see Toney out at Z, Golladay at X. And then if Shepard comes back healthy at any point, I see him and Wandale as double slots at a 10 personnel offense. They only have at tight end right now Ricky Seals-Jones, Jordan Akins, and a day 3 rookie in Daniel Bellinger. I think they're going to run 4 wide receiver sets on about 40% of their routes. That's what Dable did in 2020 with the Buffalo Bills. And so I think that Kadarius Toney is a guy who showed a lot of ability to win inside, win outside. He's showing up to practice now. He's got the knee scope, so people are a little bit put off by that. But I think all the trade rumors, all the speculation, the OTAs, like he had the knee issue. He wasn't even able to do anything anyways. And so I think that all that stuff's starting to melt away. I'm feeling really good about a guy who I thought had a really fun profile from last year and is a high upside pick. So certainly not the most logical or obvious pick, but I wanted to go a little off the board, a little deep, and I'm going with the Young Joka.
For the record, as you say, you thought he had a very fun profile. You outright howling laughed at the fact that the Giants did pick him. So I just
profile last year. I thought he had a sucky profile in college, and then he was
on the same side as Urban Meyer right now.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, that's rough. I want to just point out that there is a player that I think, as a running back who's outside of the top 20 running backs, who will have a chance to be there next year should he slap away all the other shit running backs drafted onto that team. He showed up out of nowhere. He's a waiver wire darling. I know some people already have him in the top 15
Darrell
of the
Williams.
Personal fuck no. But I think Elijah Mitchell, if he catches some passes, there were a couple of games last year where he was targeted, and those games were obviously his best. I think Debo does not want to play running back, or he wants to get paid an absolute shit ton of money. I think that opens it up. I don't think TDP is a very good player. I've said this before. I think he's more of a cautionary tale to Trey Sermon. I think that if Mitchell stays healthy and he continues to get that 2022 touches per game in the San Francisco offense, I think people will fall in love with Elijah Mitchell even more than they are now, and he will creep in to the top 20 as some of these aging dinosaurs, Fournette, Cook, Kamara, Henry, and the old dudes fall, more will have the chance to rise. And I think that Elijah Mitchell is one of those guys. Billy?
Damn, y'all are taking all mine. So I sent this in the chat while Jacob was talking. He had like perfect accuracy, like straight down the line, taking out Hollywood, Amon-Ra, and I was like, if both of those are gone, Kadarius Toney is my sleeper, which is so unbelievably frustrating. So I want it to be known, first of all, I agree with Jacob on that. Great. Second of all, I now
you and Urban.
Yeah.
Oh,
we rolled deep. So
I'm not okay.
Bad one.
Just
Stop
jokes.
that.
No, we're not going there. Okay, go ahead.
So I now want to also just randomly name drop a couple guys that I think are going to go in before I finally talk about my guy. Jameson Williams, Chase Claypool, George Pickens. I think all three of those have a legitimate chance to get in there. Claypool and Pickens, I think if one of them beats out the other one, legitimately they both have a good chance to get in there. The hot button topic that I'm going to hit on.
Hot bucket.
The hot bucket topic that I'm going to hit on is
That'll be your drink next draft.
Everyone's favorite AFC Championship game hero, Gabriel Davis.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Is he not already there? It feels like he's already there.
No, he is a wide receiver.
He is currently
on Keep Trade.
Yeah, wide receiver 42 on Fantasy Pros in Dynasty. So all this to start off, Gabriel Davis is 23 years old. He's young. He's also coming off arguably the best championship game performance a wide receiver has ever had. Yes, it was in a shootout against Daniel Sorensen, but we don't care about that. We're going to have fun. Gabriel Davis is on a team that is going to specialize in just airmailing the ball. And they went into this year, and we all thought, well, surely Buffalo, they're going to add more pieces on that offense and, more scary players that could cut into Gabriel Davis's efficiency. And they didn't. They had James Cook, who is going to cut into Josh Allen's rushing touchdown upside by like 2, and Khalil Shakir. And I
Jamison
just want
Crowder.
Jamison Crowder. Okay. Look, I also want to shout out YouTube channel Brett Coleman, who unironically put out saying Khalil Shakir was drafted to be the new Debo for Buffalo. I got nothing to add on top of that. Just wanted to shout that out because I thought it was a fun call. Gabriel Davis is the prototypical player that succeeds right now. He's big enough to push against a lot of these players. He has these routes that are one move, and then he has 2-3 yards of separation on anyone who's guarding him. He's in an offense that's going to be airmailing the ball downfield to him when he gets those 2-3 yards of separation. And I think the number one thing that he gained from that game is the trust of the Buffalo Bills organization and Josh Allen. They're coming to terms with the fact that they can rely on him as the player in their offense. Now, they don't have to, because they also have a superstar wide receiver lining up directly next to him. And that's great. That superstar wide receiver is a target hog. He's also a coverage hog. And Gabriel Davis, I think, he's not the best wide receiver in the league. We all know that. But I think he's good enough to pick apart the second cornerback on any team in the league. There's very few instances where I think there is a second cornerback in the league that can stop Gabriel Davis. And because of that, I think it's completely reasonable that next year, maybe he's not top 10. He's obviously not going to be. He's probably not going to be 15. But if he's slotting in at wide receiver 19, wide receiver 20, is that a situation where we're sitting there, the world is burned down, May 24th, 2023?
Twitter will have burned down.
And we're all like, who really saw that Gabriel Davis thing coming? No, I don't really think anyone's going to say that.
A billion people touting Gabe Davis are going to say that, and they're all going to end up in Drew's mentions. Every single one of them.
Drew will have to log off Twitter permanently if that happens.
Yes, those people are excited about it. Like, I think it's completely reasonable to say Gabriel Davis is going to be pushing it into this top group, and I think he's more fun than some of the other people I was going to talk about. Also, I'm really upset because this was originally going to be top 15, then we extended it to 20, which means I don't get to talk about my love affair with Elijah Moore. So,
keep trade cut. He's not
player profiler. Player profiler. He's 21 as well. So technically,
all right.
If you would have vetted your research, Billy.
Billy, what you got to do is you have to just search around to find the ranking that is able to back up the narrative that you want to make.
That's all we give a shit about.
For the first attempt.
He is exactly wide receiver 20.
We only care. We only care about confirming our priors on the show. That's all we care about.
Also, I was really upset to log in because I was like, Michael Pittman if he isn't there, Garrett Wilson if he isn't there, Elijah Moore if he isn't there. Those guys were 18, 19, and 20.
That's hilarious.
You were like, I was like, cool. I'll pick one of them for at 15. They're like, we're gonna make it 20.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm all over the Gabriel Davis angles right now because I'll do this as my plug. My next 2 articles actually I think will end up featuring Gabriel Davis. I'm starting a new series on Player Profiler called The Polarizers, where basically I'm going to take one of the most talked about players on Twitter and present the case both for and against them. And my first is going to be Gabriel Davis. My second will be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then we'll figure it out from there. And then I'm also working on an article comparing players whose best ball ADPs and dynasty ADPs make no sense together. And Gabriel Davis being a 23-year-old wide receiver with a best ball ADP of wide receiver 26 and a dynasty ADP of wide receiver 42. One of those will be wrong. I don't know which one, but there is no way that both of those can be correct.
I saw you.
Statistically, that doesn't work.
I saw you say that on Twitter. I was like, there's absolutely no fucking way. Look, we said we're going to get some listener questions. We are going to get the listener questions. Jamie, who also threw this question, I believe it was you. Otherwise, 2 people had the exact same question. But Burrow compared to Herbert in Dynasty versus Herbert compared to Burrow in redraft. For me personally, I have Herbert above Burrow in both. Herbert is my Dynasty QB number 1 as it stands right now. And Burrow is really scratching his way into being like a top 7-8 option.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I just got Billy's offer of Gabriel Davis for my 102.
Put your money where your mouth is.
I really hate to miss out on a chance at a top 20 wide receiver, but I'm gonna have to decline now.
I was just sitting here the whole time being like, dude, that's so crazy. Dude, that's awesome.
Look, for me, Jamie, I don't want Burrow if I can help it in redraft. I want the rushing upside of quarterbacks. He doesn't really bring it. Obviously, we can't say take out his big games, but he had 2 monster games, not just good games, like upper echelon, elite tier number 1 games against a beat up Baltimore team that I had to cry about and still cry about to this day. And that really boosted him. I think he was still 10th in points per game. It's just the upside is there for a couple of weeks, but I think you can get that with other quarterbacks. Don't really want him. Do want Herbert, who does run the ball just enough for me to be that into him in redraft. And then as for Dynasty, like I said, Herbert for both. Guys, anything to add?
Yeah, Dynasty-wise, I view them as pretty much the exact same player. Like,
interesting.
Burrow has arguably the best wide receiving core in the league and will likely have them throughout, assuming they're all staying in Cincinnati throughout the entirety of his career, like, which probably won't happen, but worth it to point out. And Herbert is likely going to lose his best option to either age, a trade, or something in the next year or two. Because Keenan Allen's a phenomenal player, but he's not immortal. Like, age always catches up to the wide receivers. So because of that,
what's going to happen? Keenan Allen's going to get slow. What else is new?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I view them as the exact same. I view the passing, like the team around Burrow offsetting the rushing upside of Herbert. they both have phenomenal passing ability. I think they both have pretty good floors. I think Burrow figured something out last year after the bye week where he's just like, all right, nuclear time, let's go. And I think Zach Taylor also found something out because that guy was coaching for his job last year.
Take sharp.
And I think there's going to be a lot of good going for Burrow moving forward. And he's also in an extremely competitive division.
Thomas, what would it take for you to trade Chenault? A ham sandwich. A ham sandwich. A good ham sandwich. None of that cheap shit.
What would it take from me for you to take my Chenault share?
Yeah, exactly.
You think I want that constant reminder of my failure hanging around?
Jacob, Herbert, and Burrow.
Yeah, Herbert I like more because he does run more, twice as much rushing yards the last couple of years versus Burrow. The other big thing I like is both these teams I think are probably set with their current coaches just for a little bit because I think they're both going in a pretty positive direction. We all know Staley's mandate, and it's to own the libs at all times. The opposite. He's owning the right wing. He is the libs, and he's going to be passing the ball constantly. They have a really high pass rate over expectation. They play very, very fast. So I think because we have Socialist Staley on the Chargers, keeping that pass rate pedal to the metal, versus lib owner Zach Taylor, who continues to force feed Joe Mixon when we think that he's finally turned a corner. I just think Herbert is probably going to be putting the ball up in the air a little bit more, so I end up preferring him in both formats. But look, I thought Burrow was drafted near his ceiling last year. He proved me wrong. He showed a lot more vertical elements to his game than I thought he had. So all due respect for him as a clear round one pick. But Jamie's saying he offered you Brian Edwards for Chenault. That's just mutual cut, guys.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jamie. You
Greg
offered
Dulcich
me
over both.
You offered me a player that I hate more than almost any other player in the league because of the believers. Looking at you, Austin Coombs. I believe we had, I'm going to go through what's Waller's value in Dynasty if you're in a rebuild trying to trade for younger assets. This question can be very difficult, but let's try to put this into context here real quick. Jacob, go ahead.
If you have Waller and you're trying to rebuild, then what he's worth is what the best of the other 11 will pay.
I was going to say, I would go to your draft room on Sleeper, pick whoever has 101, and send him that for Waller straight. When he declines that, go to the 102, send that for Waller straight.
Go down the
just
board.
Work down the line.
Right.
The only thing, I would say I would need at minimum the 1.8 to trade Waller. But not anything less than the 1.8. I will hold him into the season and try and get a better price on Waller in season when he's scoring points and see whatever happens and people trying to do that. But if you're in a rebuild, then obviously Waller shouldn't be along for your team.
I'm starting to view the higher end tight ends as like a luxury piece, like kind of how when really good teams will draft a running back just because why not? Like that feels like the same mode of how I approach the tight end position in fantasy, where when I'm just built out at other position, like let's go try and get a trade done to add Andrews or Kelsey or something else when I have the pieces to spend on it. And I think you want to go find me in your fantasy league.
But one of the things with Waller that makes him very tricky is they just brought on one of the biggest target hogs in the NFL. And I think Carr's going to have himself a new favorite target, and the glow up of the accountant Renfro, I think, is going to hurt him as well. I think that the days of Darren Waller, top 5 dynasty tight end, are pretty much already over. And you should be trying to get any sort of replacement value plus a first. Go out there and get yourself some Pat Freiermuth. Apparently, Twitter thinks that he's the answer. He's the GOAT. So get yourself some Pat Freiermuth. Really, like they said, at least 108, and then see if you can get anything else on top and retool. And I think you're good to go because you can just go and replace Waller with Gerald Everett if you're on a rebuild, and it's not going to matter to you. So go and do that. We have one other question from the DMs. Guys, at what point do you become weary in a startup with Travis Etienne as your RB1? Is it immediate? Are you trying to trade for one immediately? Basically the question, I took me a little bit to get through the question, but the question is, how comfortable are you with Travis Etienne as your team's RB1? one in a draft.
I mean, it depends how I got there. Like, if I took a bunch of wide receivers and drafted ETN in the 5th,
right?
Absolutely, I'm extremely ecstatic about that.
I think that's where the question was coming from. You didn't really elaborate on that, but that's where I'm assuming it's a 0 RB build.
These types of questions always tilt me, and no offense to the listener God who submitted it, but like whenever I see people on Twitter being like, "Well, I'm okay with this guy as my RB2, but not as my RB1," like it's such a weird thing. Like, if you want to say I'm okay drafting this guy in round 3, but not round 2, that's fine. But like it doesn't matter where he slots it on your team. Like it doesn't matter if he's starting or not starting. But yeah, I mean it's entirely the cost. Like Billy said, I'm very down with Travis Etienne's cost. Whether that makes him my RB1, 2, 3, 4 is entirely dependent on what I do with the other spots on my draft board. Based on how I draft, he's probably not going to be more than my RB2 if I'm doing a startup. So the most recent startup I just did, actually, he was my first running back drafted. But yeah, I'm comfortable with him at cost. So thus I'm comfortable with him as my RB1 if I've drafted other positions first.
Right. And I think one of the big things that we're going to be hitting on as we get more and more of these questions, you're going to hear a lot of the same answers of where'd you get him at cost? Because I think that should be the way. You don't want to be reaching. So again, you can even reply. You can send us another one. We appreciate you listening, appreciate the questions. Try to elaborate just a wee bit, and we will be able to dive a little bit deeper, but it's always at value. It's always at cost. We're at an hour and 6. Gentlemen, let's get out of here for the evening. What a oddly fantastic time this episode was, honestly. What's everyone
Wait, now we're playing Beat Billy's Bank, right?
No, oh my God. Billy, what do you have going on?
Yeah, so I got some exciting stuff in the pipeline. I don't want to promote it too fast, but I got some privileges I'm going to be working on a little bit moving forward, which is very exciting.
Yeah, Big Billy is moving up in the tech world here, and it's going to, of course, my first question was, how can this benefit us? Because
Davis Mills. Sorry, I just read the next comment.
Oh my God. Davis Mills
is this from last year? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's Davis Mills. It's Davis Mills. Jacob, I know you mentioned you got a couple articles on the way, but you're obviously always busy in the Twitter streets.
Yeah, I'm always on Twitter. So you can always find me there. I'm working now, so I probably won't be pumping out articles all that often, but you'll find me on. I'm not 100% sure yet for this Saturday. You will find me like most Saturdays, sometimes with Tom, sometimes with others. But for cash considerations, we might do some impromptu streams on days that aren't Saturday too, just in case. You'll find me tomorrow on Dynasty Intervention, of course, with Chase and with Shane, and you'll find me there pretty much every Wednesday. And then a couple article series on the go. So I'm gonna do my next in the Thinking About Thinking series is going to be all about best ball ADPs versus Dynasty ADPs, how to take advantage of those inefficient prices between the two of them. And then I'm starting my new series, like I said, on the polarizers. I've already set up that Gabe Davis is going to be my first. And then my next will be Amon-Ra, but I want to do probably 3 or 4 guys. So if there's a guy that you want to hear about, that's one of the people that we're banding about on Twitter, people are very passionate on both sides, I will definitely, I'm willing to take considerations for player number 3 or number 4 in that series. And then otherwise, you can always find me, of course, in the Bulletproof Discord. Rookie drafts continue to move along. Best ball season is heating up. And so we'll be getting more and more work going on that.
Yeah, love that. You're a very busy human. Honestly, you can find me over there at Thomas Tipple FF over there on the Bird app. You can find some of my writings over there at goingfor2.com, amongst some other places. You can find my graphic work over there at Trophy Smack and a bunch of other places. You can find that all in the profile. I don't got to read them all off here. And, of course, you can find me in the Going for 2 Discord in the Full Tilt Tom channel, where I post my ramblings about tight ends and obviously my trading aways of DJ Moore, which has really become a really sad story for me. It hurts me emotionally, but I'm out here doing it for the people. Honestly, guys, fantastic show. Can't wait to be here on Thursday with the Full Tilt Heavy podcast. We're back Saturday with our mate from around the globe, Tom Lee, on the Triple Play Fantasy Walkabout. And, of course, we are 2 weeks away from JJ Zacharyson joining us right here on the show. For the record, I have that so Jacob doesn't have to do it himself, guys. Hey, I worked hard for that freaking button.
I might even pay attention on that show. I'll figure out all my song references pre-show, so I don't have to
Oh my god, this is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, everyone.
If you guys haven't listened to "Losing My Edge" by LCD Sound System, go listen to it immediately. It's one of the best 50 songs of all time. It's like 9 minutes. It's awesome.
Remember that clear eyes, full hearts can't lose in your best days. They're always spent tilting. Thanks for joining us, guys. What a fucking program. Good night.
Bye, everyone.